I hope we got Mehaji to, our editor, to kind of moderate it, but I've had the good pleasure. So you heard it's a great segue from the last debate, last panel discussion to this, because a lot that needs to come here has been covered. So it's a right segue. The role of leadership and technology in education. We talked about how we are reskilling the leaders of B schools, the academicians and the professors at B schools. And I remember at one of our conferences on B schools, our annual, Professor Sazbuddhe was there, and we did this discussion that at educational institutions, especially large higher educational institutions, the role of the academic leader and the role of the business leader, if I may use that word, or it was traditionally a registrar, and my parents are both academicians, so I know, should be separated. So first let me start, they call me Chebbi, but you're Chebbi. But you heard the last panel, and this session is about the role of leadership in technology. What are your opening comments?
Well, I think the last panel was pretty mind-opening because there are a lot of points discussed and debated about how education in terms of the curriculum that we take our students through and the final output of it, be it being an entrepreneur or taking up a job or probably higher studies, has to be linked. Taking cues from that and also what you just mentioned, an academic leader and a business leader together running an educational institution is a very important thing. And I link that, Annurag, to technology. Today, you need academic leaders who have both academic experience and technological know-how, because technology is aiding education. Today, educational institutions, be it a college or a university, are having technology-enabled learning heads. These directors are trying to find out how a teacher in the class can be aided with the help of technology, how a student in the class can be aided with the help of technology to do what? To teach better, to improve the pedagogy, to learn better, to have more receptiveness, and to find that graduate attribute that the student wants. So a leader should have an eye on the kind of products that are being generated, that's essentially the students, but also have an eye on the technological aspects where it can transform students. Today, technology can help students, and I'll take only one example, personalized learning. I have seen products, and let's talk about one technological product that is, let's say, a learning management system. It can ensure that a student, no matter where he is on his understanding, can slowly, bit by bit, when I say that, pockets of learning, these are micro content, snackable content on concepts, theories, ensure that he covers the chapter in X amount of time, not just in the classroom, but outside, and be at par with the best student in class. This was something that was hard to come by. Well, the IIMs and the IITs take the best products and they get great placements and great stories, and media glorifies that. What about other institutions? Now, there is an aid. Now, if you're a teacher teaching about 6 different class, you can use technology to ensure that all your students can meet the topmost performer in these sections, simply because technology can be used anywhere, anytime. You can prompt it, you don't have to fear, you can communicate with it. So using technology in educational environment is only top down. When there is a buy-in at the leader's level, then it will get percolated and the benefits is across.
Thank you, Mr. Chebbi, for sharing your experiences as a pro-chancellor at the Alliance University. You talk from a position of implementing these. Let me at this point bring in Mr. Ajitesh Basani, who's an executive director at ABS, the Acharya, Bangalore Business School. Mr. Basani, both of you are younger, the youngest on this panel. So clearly technology comes naturally to you, right? I'm not saying it doesn't come to people like us. I may not be a teenager, but I'm a screenager. I do everything on a screen. So what are you doing at ABS to be able to use technology to create the right leadership at the institution?
So when you put technology and leadership in one sentence, I'm only looking at administrators, directors, principals, heads. Students, we are always preaching about what students have to learn, what they have to do. I'll give you a small example. A couple of years ago, I managed to do a course on digital transformation strategy at Haas School of Business at Berkeley. The outcome of that course, I got scared. I was ridiculously scared because of where we are in the entire digital maturity of the organization, right? So the very first step is obviously in digital transformation. Is it business as usual, or are you being innovative and adaptive? So the spectrum is wide, and most institutions fall in the middle. When I say most institutions, I'm discounting the institutions that are struggling. I'm saying most institutions that are doing pretty decently, and the ones who are essentially thriving, the ones who are scaling and having thousands of students. So identifying and knowing where we lie in that spectrum, right? Digital maturity. That becomes step one. And for me, I realized at ABBS, we are trying to do a lot of things, but then when it comes to doing things that we would want to do, it probably take us 5 years, 10 years more. I'll give you a small example. When we talk about technology leadership, it often talks about people. Technology is secondary. The whole aspect of technology is actually secondary. It's not about giving the team login passwords and say start using this software and give me data. It doesn't work as easily as we think. I've had a huge struggle in terms of implementing new technologies or bringing in new initiatives. Why that struggle? Because people are extremely difficult to, understand, and then bring everyone on that same page becomes almost impossible to do. A small example, I had my CFO, I think this was probably 8 months ago. He said, "Sir, do we really need to change this? I like doing things the old way, and I'm fine. Why? The system is fine. It's not broken, no? So why should we change?" So that was a statement, and I was extremely against it. I said, no, this is not the way forward. The way forward is a bit of struggle, a bit of understanding, experimenting, a bit of adapting, all of that. So nothing happens overnight. 6 months, 8 months of constant inputs, constant training helps the team grow, and there's no way around it. You can't say that, let me just bring in something new and then magic can't happen overnight.
Thank you, Mr. Basani. See, we have Vice-Chancellor of very preeminent universities who have huge experience. I'm sure they'll agree with what you and Mr. Chebbi will bring in, but for now, let me bring in Professor Dayanand Agsar, who's the Vice-Chancellor of the Gulbarga University, and we'd love to hear your opening comments, sir.
Thank you, Batraji, and this important event, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Let me tell you, India is a highly diverse country, as it is diverse from 2 points of view, culture and the natural resources.
Absolutely.
I believe that the landscape of the Indian higher education scenario is also highly diverse. Me coming from the rural area of the rural university, it reminds me way back my experience at one of the leading institute of the Switzerland, Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, where I was the visiting professor. They were looking for a small issue of technology, how to convert the entire agricultural waste into the bioenergy. That was their issue, for which I was an expert from the microbiology point of view. So today, this technology as an academic leader, I wish to address from the 2 points of view. The first one is redefining the student success, and also the personalized learning. Really, if the students are interested, we are supposed to give them a flexibility from the point of the course structure or the curriculum. So this is a highly questionable in the academic institutions. Do we have that flexibility in offering the courses that are really needed by the students? Yes, we do have only on paper. when the reality comes, the students, whatever he wants to opt that particular curriculum, were not in a position to offer in the reality. And the second thing is...
And the multidisciplinary part.
Yes.
Though NAC has, and the new education policy, both have
Rightly
encouraged
said.
that, but it is not yet really become mainstream. so
Yes,
to say.
rightly said, that's the multiple disciplinary approaches. We do have several monodisciplinary colleges in the several rural areas. We don't find absolutely any other courses to be offered by the students. For an example, today we have the Skill Development Center, where we have given a space for one of the alumni of the Gulbarga University, who is basically from the biotechnology. I, being the professor of the microbiology, let me share with you an example. The student has got a Karnataka government scale, state startup on bioenergy sector. He wanted to have an incubation space for that. So Gulbarga University has offered that. Basically, he being the microbiologist and the biotechnologist, his bioenergy sector was only how to convert the entire agricultural residue into the bioenergy, like CNG and then the bio-CNG. That is the concept of the technology what has been developed. So really in the higher education scenario of the India, if you could able to offer the flexibility of the students, what he wants to opt the courses, and also the personalized learning. It is because of these two, the young industrialists are coming up in the global scenario sectors of the bioenergy.
Thank you so much. And one of the things is, how do you see, there are three stakeholders. There is the students, which are the most important. There is the faculty, which is, really the heart of education delivery. And then there is, let's say, leadership, ownership, administrative part, who try to make sure, how do you make sure that you have a culture which encourages institutionalizing technology usage and technology context with whatever's been traditionally working. How do you institutionalize that is a very key part of what you achieve as an institution. And I'm sure we'll come back to you with some more comments that you'll be able to make. And you rightly said, you have to look at, you come from a certain kind of university located in a certain place, and you said it's rural. But today the beauty about technology, we heard about UPI, I talked about ONDC. Technology is very easy to use. So actually technology is bridging the urban-rural divide in a lot of ways. And the aspirations of anywhere today are as good as somebody elsewhere. So we'll come to that, but let me also at this point bring in Professor M. Venkateshwarlu, who's the Vice-Chancellor of the Tumkur University. Professor Venkateshwarlu, your opening comments.
Yes, sir. Very good afternoon, everybody. It's a nice platform for us to think and implement the things in a better manner. But there are two things here in this panel of discussion. One is the leadership, another is the technology. As you all are aware that the higher education institutions should have a adaptive leadership characters. As John C. Maxwell, a great American author, was a good trainer for the leadership, who says that leader should have the knows the way, goes the way, and takes the way. Shows the way. So any higher education leader should have adopted these three important characters first. And for another important thing, I would like to say that here in the hall, very few public universities representatives are here. Majority of the people are from private institutions.
Priya, we should get more public universities in Mehaji next time. I'm sure we will.
Yes. What is the difference between the education providing from the private universities and private institutions and public institutions? Whether you agree or not, it is true that private institutions will see the education providing as a business, whereas the public institutions, they take the responsibility to provide the basic education, higher education to the needy of the people with affordable cost. These are the two differences. And coming to the technology implementation, adoption in the higher education institutions as well as the private institutions, a lot of gap is there. Why the gap? There are, of course, there are constraints are there, merits and demerits are there. But we are thinking globally, as IICT director rightly said, among all the graduates produced by the higher education institutions, still 53% people are unemployed. Even Mr. Batra also said. Why that's unemployability is there means lacking the skill adoption in the institutions. What is the reason for that? The main reason is there is a providing education in a holistic approach we see, but like rural background and semi-urban students, mainly they take the admissions in the public institutions because of the affordable fee structure in the public institutions rather than the private institutions. The take of the admission admitted students in the public institutions starts from the just passed to 90%, whereas the private institutions starts from the 80-85%. So the growth in the private institutions, the passed students is mainly 10-15%, even if they score 90-95%. Whereas the public universities, even the average student which passed from the 45%, we see that 90% they score. That type of the training we provide. There's a lot of gap between the private and public universities. The main reason is the growth which is not visible in the public universities is because of the economic and social and attitudinal diversity we can see in the students which take the admission in the public universities. We talk about the academic flexibility, but of course, no doubt, but still in the public institutions, we have many constraints in the administrative and academic flexibility need to be addressed. Then technology adoption definitely will bring the really great change in the academics, right? Just now, Mr. Batra said, which brings the gap between the rural and urban, of course. The infrastructure facilities should be improved in the public universities so that this can give the good results. Then ecosystem in the public universities need to be equipped with the form of infrastructure, expertise, training for the faculty before the giving the training for the students. If we address all these things, definitely we can get the satisfactory results in the public universities also.
Thank you so much. I think you made very relevant points that I think both private universities and public universities have a role to play. And they're doing that role because the number of people to be taught as the gross enrollment ratio goes up, there is need for more institutions. And but you brought out the nuanced differences between the approaches of both. But I would say even in private universities, they're competing amongst each other and with public universities. So they've also been able to imbibe education while it may be, everything has become a business, as you rightly said. I remember in 2010 or 12, I was at a Exchange for Media event, and then INB Mr. Manish Tiwari said, he was speaking before me, and he said, media has become a business. And I was speaking immediately after him, and I said, what is not a business? Even if you go to an institution of faith, you can pay more to get ahead, right? I was in Bombay yesterday. I was at Siddhivinayak, and there are different queues starting from 100 rupees to 1500 rupees. So I think money has a role to play, but at the end of the day, what you deliver matters. And the environment is such that the more the merrier. Professor Sitaram and Professor Sesbut, they talked about how to improve quality. And I will not even go to employability and all. Just improving basic quality, that's the key. But at this space, let me bring in Professor B.D. Kumbar, who's the Vice-Chancellor of the Davangere University.
A very good afternoon, all of you. I thank the organizers for providing me an opportunity to share a few of my ideas that is on this forum. First of all, there is no doubt about it that technology is not only supporting our education, it is trying its level best to improve the quality in the higher education. But the problem is, as a professor of library and information science, I am going to highlight some of the important aspects that's about the use of the technology that is in the higher educational institutions. So first of all, there is a lot of the gap between the rural universities and the metro universities. As my colleagues, they have been already identified the differences between the private universities, those they have been established that is in the metro cities as well as that is in the rural areas. The major problem that is in the rural universities, the use of the technology is the major problem.
You're saying it is limited, it can
Yes,
go up.
yes. Say for example, even we are receiving the candidates, those they have not seen the computer. We are talking about the use of the technology that is in the promotion of the higher education, but we are receiving the students without seeing the computers. So here we need to develop, first of all, the computer literacy, the information literacy, and the digital literacy. When the universities and the leaders of the universities, if they are coming forward to develop such type of the skills for the use of the technology. The another problem is the information accessibility also, there is a lot of difference between the rural and the urban areas. Say for example, the information haves and information have nots. The difference is increasing.
You're saying rather than democratization, the digital divide like we saw in COVID has grown.
Yes. So here the government of India has established the information library network to provide the information to all the public universities that is in the country like India. But even then, so very recently Karnataka State Higher Education Council was organized a meeting with the director of the Implement. So the Karnataka State Higher Education Council and all the public universities, we are requesting the Implement and the director of the Implement to provide the equal opportunity or share to all the public universities that is in the state of the Karnataka as far as providing the information is concerned. And on the other hand, the misuse of the technology is also increasing that is in the country like India. So we need to avoid, say for example, the intellectual property rights. So we need to train the students that is in the use of the information that is in the proper way, in the proper means. Because as we have read that is in the newspapers, even some of the university vice-chancellors, they have been involved in the plagiarism cases and they have been removed. So therefore, the intellectual property rights and such type of the things are going to be improved. So if the universities are capable of overcoming all these problems, I think and I hope the public universities, they are also in a better position to provide the quality higher education that is in the even rural India also.
Thank you so much for bringing out this very authentic and honest thing. Dr. Reddy, definitely RV University is done well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Annurag. I would like to respond to Mr. Vinesh, who spoke in the first session. He said technology cannot replace a teacher, but he qualified his comment with something. But recently, Anna University has introduced something called Muller. It's a artificial intelligence, autonomous professor, well-versed in all the disciplines under the engineering and fully abreast of all the reading materials and can teach in a way which is clearly understandable by even a 10-year-old student, and uses the voice responses and also text responses. And so this is a reality. Anna University has already introduced one AI-based autonomous AI professor system. And going back to the academic leadership and technology, leaders have to have vision, and the vision has to be expansive. And our university, when it was evolving, we adopted a vision statement which said our university aspires to be a world-class, tech-driven global university for liberal education. And I want to draw your attention to the tech-driven aspect. So the leaderships, even while preparing the mission, graduate attributes, or even core values, can emphasize the technology, because you can use it right from admission stage onwards, and which we do also. We conduct a RVSAT examination, and it is a AI-proctored online examination, right from that admission stage to teaching, learning, assessments, research, and other aspects, including sports also, library, every aspect. Technology has a major role. While talking about exams, some of the universities have already embraced a tab-based system which obviates the use of paper. And we have sustainable development goals, and there's a 2030 deadline, and we need to save forests. So here is a case where the technology should be used as a part of examination reforms and to move towards a tab-based system. And we have also implemented a number of things, including SAP for using technology in HR processes, finance processes, and we have also got a student life cycle management, and we also use technology. We have got a learning management system. So there are many, many ways in which technology can be used as a aid for education.
Thank you so much. I think I learned something today thanks to Professor Sess Buddhe, who put me on my alma mater MDI's board. In fact, Priya is also from MDI, different era. I served for more than 3.5 years on the MDI board, and I can say that I have some appreciation of higher education being on the board of MDI. I also started a media school 15 years back. My partner died, so we shut it. Rubika Liaquat is from my media school, 200 such professionals. I can only say two things, and it's one question you have to ask as Vice-Chancellor. And I'm thinking, Priya, we should do a boot camp for Vice-Chancellors where bring in such people that they can learn, upgrade. And, I feel that, so much to learn. They get exposed to what's happening in the US, Europe, we can learn, or other universities in India which are doing. So we should do an immersive, like an off-site boot camp just for Vice-Chancellors, and bring kind of content. Professor Niranjana is here, and, Karnataka is a progressive state. It contributes tremendously to the GDP, and, it is the startup capital, Bangalore. I can only say one question each one of you have to ask is, if you were to be rated or ranked, or forget rating or ranking, you were to analyze yourself on your digital preparedness as a university, where are you? Both, whether it's the process of seeking applications and admissions, interface internally, in content delivery, in evaluation, and then there's the kind of content. For example, there's so much happening in space tech. There's so much happening in drone tech. I won't say edu-tech, because you add tech to anything, sometimes it can get spoiled or diluted also. That is the case in edu-tech. So I won't, but the fact is there are new areas, Center for AI. So the way forward is to be able to do industry-partnered, industry-sponsored centers with leading players, one player or multiple players, which will then be able to give you the flavor of what's happening real time on a continuous basis rather than one-off guest lecture or a small short course. That's one. Second is to be able to, both Mr. Basani and Mr. Chebbi, as interface with education in the US. How we sending vice-chancellors to, and academicians below you, whether it's a dean or a head of placements or the head of curriculum, to other institutions across the world, so that what they are doing right can be implemented. I think these are 2-3 things, but I'd like to ask you one recommendation for each one of you, which you are willing to do in the next 12 to 24 months in your institution, which will make sure the role of leadership in technology will create more future-ready leaders. Dr. Murthy, one thing that you are doing at RV University.
Okay. Going back to your initial thing, I would not like to rate our own university by myself, but we went through a QS IGOD system, and which we got an E-Lead certification for the technology that we have implemented. And in addition, there are a number of other things we are doing. You mentioned about space technology. Our School of Computer Science Engineering has decided to introduce a minor in space technology, and we have also got research centers exclusively dealing with Internet of Things, and also for the artificial intelligence. And the School of Business, we have a Center for Human Insights. If I were to make one single recommendation, it's about integration of the different things. For example, we are looking at integration between SAP and learning management system, or increased use of AI in research. These are some of the things which I would shortlist.
Professor Kumbar, one thing you are doing at your university which will actually make your vision happen.
See, the major problem that's in the university is the use of the technology. Even our teachers, they are very much interested in the adoption of the technology. The problem is we do not have the interactive classrooms or even the facilities that are required that is in the classrooms. As you know, it's a state university due to economic problems. This is number one. Number two, even in case of library resources also, knowledge centers also, they are not developing the proper resources. That's how I have mentioned the implement, it has to come forward. My recommendation to the implement is the information, whatever it is available, that is with the implement, it is going to be shared with all the universities that is in India. Then only our public universities and we are capable of providing the information required by the teacher, researcher and the students, and then we can expect some quality education that is in the state universities.
Thank you so much. Professor Venkateshwarlu.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Of course, there are many constraints will be there, but in spite of the constraints, Tumkur University, first I'm focusing to change the attitudinal, emotional, and workforce of the important thing. The workforce, if we change, they can change the university
Delivery,
atmosphere.
education delivery.
Yes, that's the first main focus I given. And of course, I can say that Higher Education Council Vice Chairman is here. They are providing a lot of support to promote the international links, internalization of the universities. Our university is also one of the institutions which benefited to have the collaboration with the foreign universities recently. And though it is a very close to Bangalore, Tumkur, but still a lot of gap is there, the difference between the Bangalore students and the Tumkur University students. Completely, majority of the Tumkur University students are rural people. My intention is I wanted to give exposure to the rural students, the global exposure. In that connection, I had visited UK universities, and part of the UK universities visit, I got the 2 MOAs with the South Wales University recently. Then digital form, of course, Tumkur University is having the good position to implement all the technology which is provided by the government, NIC and other things. We have not adopted any private technology. Then we have recently introduced the innovation, incubation and entrepreneurship. These are first university in the Karnataka and public university was taken. And we got the award also from the SK University Anandapur. And with these small things, what I say that, leaders should not have a negative thinking rather than the positive approach. We are going ahead. And my vision is that, technology adoption is also one of the primary area where you, as you said, it minimizes the gap between the rural urban. We're thinking ahead in a couple of months, we'll be able to adopt a technology savvy university for the students and the administration.
Thank you, Professor Agsar.
Sir, I want 2 points to be shared with you. The first challenging factor for our university is upgrading the curriculum, industry, knowledge and the skill based. Though it is there on the paper, we have to really make it to happen. That's a major challenge, what I am trying to do it.
And also bring down the lag from when it is in the industry and when it's in the institution.
You're right. And the second challenging factor, particularly for our university, is changing the mindset of the faculty. So we have the faculty mindset, a lot of other things which are supposed to be in the professional one. It should be more positive outlook. That is a major challenging for us. We are onto it.
Okay, Mr. Chebbi and finally Mr.
Right, Annurag. So you asked about what are the technology, your question was what are the technological implementations that we would do in the next 12 months?
How technology ready you are, where are you in your
So the immediate
comparison,
plan.
yeah.
So I think every institution has a sort of maturity framework that they will work on, where they are and where they want to get to. But notwithstanding that, to answer your question, what are those aspects that I would want to improve using technology? I would go straight away to the primary stakeholders. Those are our students. Students have to be benefited. We are not an IT company or ITES company. We'll have to look at our processes. We have to look at our age-old pedagogy and try and embellish that through technology. I think I would focus on 3 things: the skills that everyone talks about, communication skills, critical thinking skills, as well as collaborative skills. Communication is no more with a human now, it's also with platforms and with tools. And if your students do not know how to communicate or do that right prompt, you will never be able to be successful. I think what AI is doing is making smart people smarter. So one is, how do students learn to communicate with each other and with technology? One. Second is critical thinking. Well, critical thinking can be taught in a classroom environment, but with use of simulation and throwing personalized learning to notch up the skill or the level that student is, critical thinking, which is most desired skill these days, can really go to another level, Anurag. And the last one is collaboration. If you cannot collaborate in a team, if you cannot understand what are the principles of the organization or what are the thought processes and work accordingly as a team, I think it's a wasteful effort. We're only generating high IQ, low EQ kind of graduates. I think these are all addressed in the graduate attributes that UGC talks about. I think I would use effectively technology in these areas, and mind you, one tool cannot solve it all. It's right fitment into the product, into the process. It could be a great SAP kind of a product, or it could be something that is done locally. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Basani, your final comments.
So nobody rated their institutions here. I thought, let me rate mine. Again, this is very relative, not comparing ourselves with any other institutions. I think we're a solid 5 on a scale of 10 in terms of where we are. Why am I saying solid 5? Because I know how much more effort is required in getting to that higher stages, number one. Immediate changes are all in systemic efficiencies. How can we identify those gaps and address those using technology? One big area that we recently faced since we became autonomous was the entire evaluation system. If you integrate tech the right way, announcing results in a much more quicker manner, getting that downtime of result announcement can be, a huge impact in terms of what your institution is and its impact on students, right? And see, these are all systemic changes that we are looking at the very short term, but on a more long-term basis, we are looking at what AICT has been talking about for years, which is, can we digitize 10 to 20% of our curriculum? For instance, the MBA program has 104 odd credits. Can we take a portion of that and make it relevant, make it on the digital platforms? Why? Access, number one. The other thing, there are a lot of subjects that I know some students are here in the back, which you feel you don't need a teacher to teach you those subjects. I know there are difficult subjects like financial management where you need your professors to be there, but then there are many subjects which it can be done by themselves, learning by themselves.
Thank you so much. I think this year, in the next 30 days, we are launching our ranking of India's universities on digital readiness and digital future. It will be because we understand the ecosystem, and we'll collaborate with you to get the right framework. So we have something that we've over the last 2 years built internally. I think the 3 points I'd like to sum up is that in Indian universities already there is a consciousness of using technology for content delivery, as Mr. Basani said, for processes, and most importantly, bringing areas of practice in the curriculum which reflect what's happening in the ecosystem. That's already happening. The fact that all the leaders of universities on this panel were so, I think, critical. Mr. Basani could have said he's 9 on 10, but he said he's 5 on 10. So clearly there is a aspiration to be really there, and I thought this panel, I do a lot of moderations. It's a very, very honest and authentic panel in terms of realistically putting where the universities are in terms of leadership and technology. And the good news is that they're still in the play and hoping to be able to improve real issues while not losing a sense of education. Please give our panelists a big round of applause, and I'll hand this over to Amar to be able, Amar, all yours. Thank you.